The humid air of a remote Malaysian village hung thick with the scent of frangipani flowers, their sweet aroma masking something far more sinister. The moon loomed large in the night sky, casting eerie shadows through the dense jungle. It was on nights like these, when the wind whispered through the trees, that the villagers locked their doors, bolted their windows, and whispered prayers under their breath. Something lurked in the darkness, something ancient, something vengeful. Liam Carter, a skeptical journalist from London, had arrived in Malaysia just days prior, chasing what he believed to be nothing more than a local superstition. He had spent years debunking myths and urban legends, convinced that every tale had a rational explanation. The legend of the Pontianak, a vengeful female spirit said to prey on men and expectant mothers, was no different. Yet, the fear in the villagers' eyes unsettled him. These people truly believed in the stories passed down through generations. "You shouldn't be here," an old woman warned as she handed him a steaming cup of herbal tea in the dimly lit corner of a roadside stall. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "The Pontianak does not like outsiders who do not respect her." Liam smiled politely, jotting down notes in his leather-bound journal. "And how does one respect her?" he asked. The woman's wrinkled hands trembled as she reached for the wooden pendant around her neck. "By leaving." He didn't take her words seriously, of course. Superstitions were deeply embedded in cultures worldwide, but they rarely held any truth. Still, as he wandered back to his rented homestay on the edge of the village, he couldn't shake the uneasy feeling crawling up his spine. The jungle seemed to watch him, the trees whispering secrets he could not understand. The first sign of trouble came that night. A piercing cry echoed through the village, chilling Liam to the bone. It was high-pitched, almost inhuman, like a woman wailing in unbearable agony. He sat up in bed, his heart hammering against his ribs. Through the thin walls, he could hear movement outside, rustling leaves, hurried footsteps. Then, silence. Liam grabbed his flashlight and hesitated before stepping outside. The village was unnervingly still. The air had changed, thick and suffocating. He turned his light toward the jungle's edge, and for the briefest moment, he saw something, a pale figure with long, unkempt black hair, standing motionless between the trees. Its glowing red eyes locked onto his, and a cruel smile spread across its lips. Then it was gone. Liam stumbled back inside, locking the door behind him. His rational mind struggled to process what he had just seen. He had been awake for nearly 20 hours. Maybe it was exhaustion playing tricks on him. Maybe it was just a villager trying to scare him off. Maybe. The next morning, the village was abuzz with hushed conversations. Another man had gone missing, the third in a month. His wife had woken up to find their front door wide open, the bed cold, his footprints leading into the jungle, and then stopping abruptly, as if he had vanished into thin air. Liam tried to ask questions, but the villagers refused to speak to him. They only offered him wary glances, their eyes darting toward the trees as if expecting something to emerge at any moment. Determined to uncover the truth, Liam ventured deeper into the jungle that afternoon. The oppressive humidity wrapped around him like a vice, and the canopy above blocked most of the sunlight. He followed the path of footprints left by the missing man, his recorder capturing his every thought. Then he smelled it. The sickly sweet scent of frangipani. His pulse quickened. He knew the legend well enough by now. The Pontianak's presence was often accompanied by the overpowering fragrance of frangipani. His breath hitched as he noticed something ahead, a small clearing, where a single white dress hung from the branch of a tree, swaying gently despite the stillness of the air. His body screamed at him to turn back, but his journalistic instincts pushed him forward. He reached out and touched the fabric, cold, damp. As he pulled his hand away, a drop of thick, dark liquid fell onto the sleeve of his shirt. Blood. A low, guttural growl rumbled from behind him. Liam turned slowly, his stomach knotting. The figure from the night before stood inches away, her hair covering most of her face. Only those glowing red eyes and the twisted grin remained visible. Her nails, long and razor-sharp, dripped with fresh blood. "You shouldn't have come here," she whispered, her voice unnervingly soft. Liam staggered backward, but the ground beneath him gave way. He fell, tumbling down a slope and into a shallow riverbed, his head slamming against a rock. Stars exploded in his vision as pain shot through his skull. Darkness took him. When Liam awoke, he was no longer in the jungle. He was lying on a woven mat inside a candlelit hut, his head wrapped in bandages. An elderly man sat beside him, grinding herbs into a paste. "You are lucky," the man murmured without looking at him. "She has taken many before you." Liam struggled to sit up. What happened? The man finally met his gaze. The Pontianak marked you. You must leave before she comes for you again. Liam's mind swelled with questions, but his body was weak. He knew one thing for certain. He had come looking for a legend and had found something far more terrifying. He had seen the truth behind the myth, and now, it wanted him dead. He left the village the next morning, never looking back. Yet, as the plane lifted off from Kuala Lumpur, the scent of frangipani still lingered in his senses. A whisper followed him in the wind, a promise from the darkness he would never escape. Some legends, he realized, were never meant to be uncovered.